What's up everybody, welcome back to Seiya Awakening. We're back for another full character review, and this time we're gonna look at the 4th Divine Saint, Gold Saint with Divine Armor, whatever, it's Libra Dokko, a unit that we've been expecting for quite a while because he has some really interesting mechanics, including one that we've never seen in the game before. We're gonna look at all of his details, including abilities, Cosmo, teams, and also possible weaknesses. Let's start as always with his abilities, and in the case of Dokko, he's a unit that can fulfill a lot of different roles. He can do a little bit of damage, though not as much now as he will be able to do in the future, and we're going to cover that. He can also buff the attack of our allies, and he can give us energy in a completely new way. The other thing to know is that just like his armor, he has a whole bunch of different weapons at his disposal, and depending on what abilities and passive we use during the fight, then we're going to get the chance to activate all 6 of his different weapons. Let's start off with the first skill, where we're going to find the first 2. To activate his sword, the only thing we need to do is attack somebody with the basic. This is going to do a little bit of damage, and it's also going to apply bleed. Now remember, in this game, bleed acts as a sort of poison. It's going to inflict automatic damage to the enemy right before he moves. It's a very useful mechanic because it applies it before the enemy's movement, so the enemy doesn't have a chance to steal life or anything like that. If he's low and he has bleed, he will die. With skill ups, we can apply 2 stacks of bleed instead of 1, and this is important for the future. The second weapon that we find here is going to be the spear, and this one activates when an opponent that we're hitting already has bleed. So either because we applied it in a previous round or because we have another ally that applies bleed, if the enemy already has it, then we're going to do a lot more damage. We're also going to add 1 more stack of bleed, and we're going to immediately activate one of the effects of bleed. Remember, it does damage, so we're going to do all of this damage, 1 more stack, and then we're going to blow up the bleed that it has. With all of these things combined, this basic can actually do a lot. The second skill we're going to skip over for now because this actually has the chance to use all 6 effects, so we're going to look at the third one first. And this is an active skill that allows us to buff the attack or the damage of our allies. It works for both physical and cosmic attackers, and that's where the difference is for the 2 weapons. If we want to activate the Sansetsuken, which is I think the 3-part bar, we have to buff a cosmic attacker. That unit is going to receive up to 50% more cosmic attack and 20% more cosmic damage. That's obviously at level 5. The beauty of this skill is that it costs 0 energy. Now, if we want to activate the Nunchakus, then we have to buff a physical unit. That ally is going to get up to 50% more physical attack and 20% more crit effect. Now, this is the damage. This is the extra damage, not the probability of hitting a crit. As you can see, in my opinion, this skill is amazing and totally worth the skill ups, but we're gonna get to that pretty soon. So far we have 4 weapons, 2 from the basic and 2 from the buff. The last 2 we're gonna find over here in his passive, called Ultimate Defense. The shield will activate the first time that Dokko's HP drops below a certain threshold. At that moment the shield is gonna activate, and that shield is based off of our own max HP, and it lasts for 2 rounds. The problem is it can only activate automatically once. Okay, so the shield will remain active around Dokko. You're gonna see that he activates the weapon, but this shield that saves us only activates once per battle. The last weapon is maybe the most interesting one, and it's the Tonfa. This allows Dokko to act as a sort of energy generator. In the past, we've had Kiki, we've had Athena, and we've had Gemini Cannon. All of those units generate energy that then our teammates can use. This is the first unit that can give our allies energy without having it. When an ally tries to use a skill that he doesn't have enough energy for, he can actually use it by borrowing it from Dokko, and Dokko will pay with his blood. Literally, for every point of energy that we loan, let's say our teammate, he's gonna lose some of his max HP. That reduction starts at 20%, but with skill ups can go down to 10. The maximum of energy that we can generate also goes up to 2 with skill ups. That happens at level 4, and the last effect of this passive, which is not tied to one specific weapon, also has to do with weapons. At the start of the battle, when he hasn't activated a lot of them, for everyone that's not active, he's gonna get some damage reduction. As time progresses and he activates more of his weapons, he's going to lose that damage reduction, but he's going to obtain a damage increase. That right now is a pretty crappy trade-off because his damage is really atrocious. We're gonna look at his second skill in a moment. So for me, I would much rather keep the damage reduction and keep him alive than get a damage bonus. It will come into play eventually with a unit that we know is coming in the future, but for now, his only attack basically is the second one, which is an AoE. It deals a little bit of damage with a pretty insignificant multiplier, but it can also activate additional effects from the weapons if we already have them. With every skill up, we acquire a new effect. There's a total of 6. It's kind of like Ophiuchus, who gets extra abilities for his second one, or Mew that also gets the attributes from all of his faces. Anyway, it's an AoE that's gonna hit the enemy 1 time, and depending on the weapons we have, we're gonna get extra stuff. If we have the Divine Sword, then that AoE is going to apply a bleed to every single one of our enemies. If we have the Spear and the enemy already has bleed, then we're gonna detonate that damage right away, just like the first one. The Tonfa, which is the first effect we get, that's at level 1, is going to reduce our energy consumption by 1, which is kind of a weird thing with Dokko because the only ability that uses energy is this one, and it only costs 2. It's not like it's an expensive one. If we have the shield, then anytime we use this AoE, we're also gonna generate a shield for ourselves based on our max HP, AoE, and if we have the Sensutsoken and Nunchakus, we get extra stuff as well. That's not just to buff our allies. If we have the Sensutsoken available, then we can debuff the enemy by up to 50% of their Cosmo attack. That is an insane debuff. That's half the damage. If we have the Nunchakus, we're going to do the same thing, but with physical. So really, if we have all of the weapons active, which is not easy to do, we could have up to 6 special effects with one single AoE that only costs 2. Now, when it comes to skill ups, there's 2 ways to look at Divine Dokko. There's the Divine Dokko today, and there's the Divine Dokko that's going to be used when Shura Sapuri comes out. We know already this is the next unit that's going to hit the server. It's already, I think, available in China, and he's going to have a really strong mechanic with bleed. Obviously, to play off of that bleed, they gave Dokko a whole bunch of stuff that he can do with it. So let's keep that in mind, but let's look first at Dokko today, starting with the basic one. For a basic Dokko, skill 1 can stay at 1. We're not going to worry too much about this bleed right now. Skill 2 can stay at 1 right now because the main purpose of this basic Dokko is going to be as a buffer and energy generator. This attack with all the extra effects is not what we're looking for. The third skill is already kind of what we're looking for, okay? And this one is the one that's completely dependent on how many tomes you have. For a basic, super basic Dokko, it can stay at level 2, and that's only so we can open all of the 8 cents, because this is not a skill with activation rate. It always works. When he uses it, he's gonna give a buff. The amount of that buff goes up, so obviously the higher the better, but it's not an absolute requirement. The fourth skill, though, is kind of a requirement, and it's going to be his main mission. He's going to be the energy generator. In levels 1, 2, and 3, he can only do 1, so really we want to take this to 4 so that we can generate 2 energy. This opens up a whole bunch of possibilities because a lot of really strong units use at least 2. This basic Dokko then would end up with 1, 1, 2, 4. That's only 7 tomes, super cheap. The more advanced Dokko for today would go up a little bit, but it's not horrible. The first one would stay at 1. Again, this is not something we're worried about until Shura Sapuri comes out. The second one, we would start to level up to at least level 4. I think this gives you most of the special effects, and the Sensutsoken and Nunchakus are really important to debuff. The only one you don't get with this skill at level 4 is the shield. Hopefully you have some other protection in the team that can do that. The third skill now we are going to take to its max level. We want to get all of the buff possible, so that's 50%, whether Cosmo or physical attack. The last one we already had at 4, and for the good Dokko, it can stay there. That gives us a total of 1454, which is 22 tomes. Now, the Dokko for the future that's ready to fight when Shura Sapuri comes out is going to require quite a bit more. For that guy, we have to skill up the first one, which is not something we do too much in the game, but if we want to take advantage of all the mechanics with the bleed, then this one has to go to 4. The second one, if we're building a super Dokko, is going to be taken to level 5 as well, so that we get that shield. The third one we already had at level 5, and the fourth one, you could leave it at 4, but really everything just sounds better at 5. This super mega Dokko would be 4, 5, 5, 5, which is 36 tomes. Over on the 8 cents, we're probably going to open everything. He is a character we're going to use in PvP, and nowadays in PvP you need every stat you can get. Now in him, it's important that he moves so that he can give the buff, and it's also important that he stays alive. I would personally start with Alpha, which gives us physical attack and speed, then Delta, which gives us HP and resistance to both types of damage, followed by Beta with HP and physical attack, and then lastly Gamma, which has physical attack and damage reflect, which is a really weird stat to put on him. Now moving on to his Cosmo, there's also 2 builds that I have to mention here. There's the Bruto Dokko, the one that's going to try to do as much damage as possible, but this one is going to be more effective with Shura. It's the way I build them because I like to build everything with damage, but it's not the best use right now, okay? Disclaimer, what you're seeing here is not the best Dokko at the moment. The best Dokko right now needs to stay alive, and for that purpose, there's nothing like White Mist here in the red Cosmo. If you do want to go with attack, you can go either Branches or Blood Amber. The truth is that both of them work pretty well. Over on the yellow, Spirit Print and the Cross continue to be some of the best options, though remember now we have Morning Glory as well. The only problem with this one is that it doesn't give us resistance to damage, so anybody that can ignore our defense can just bypass Morning Glory completely. That's why it's not being used so much. Over on Star, we have Naga Pros, which actually works for both purposes. This is a Cosmo that allows us to deal damage, but also makes us tanky. It's a good option whether you want to go tank or you want to go attacker in the future. If you are thinking of going full tank, then you also have Fruits of Strife and Gardenia. In the Legendary, there's a lot of options that work really well. If you've been watching Jameer, then you probably saw him played with Marsh Fairy quite a bit. Right now, he is mostly a support, not an attacker, so there's no reason why he can't go with this. It also gives him an HP bonus. But there's a lot of other things that work as well, including Rising Dragon Teeth, Tree of Resurrection, Fuchsia if you want to play him slow, although I think it's being used mostly fast right now. And the last one I'll mention is Everblaze, because it's actually a pretty interesting combination. He's being used a lot with Orphe. He already gives Orphe a gigantic boost, and that boost can be increased when you equip Everblaze. It's going to give us a small shield and then when that shield is broken, our Cosmo attack is gonna go up by 15. I haven't put it on him simply because I don't have a good one. When I do find a good one, I'm probably gonna switch him. In substats, like we mentioned, we're gonna be looking for a lot of HP as a support role right now. That's what he needs the most. Defense can help a little bit as well, and then speed, but you have to keep in mind that he has to move in the correct order. His attack buff only lasts for 1 turn. If, for example, you have Dokko and you buff Orphe, but then Orphe moves right away, he's going to lose that attack buff immediately. If you want to play him with an Orphe, your Dokko is going to have to be a little bit slower. So your Orphe moves, he activates his second Serenade, then Dokko buffs him, and he keeps that buff until his next turn in the next round. The other option is to combine them with Ichi so that you can boost Orphe, activate the second Serenade, and then a really fast Dokko can buff him. The problem with setting it up that way is that now you're locked into always using him with Ichi. And that's actually a pretty good segue into his team combination. So we already mentioned that one. His primary partner right now is this guy. The level of damage you can get is simply incredible. It's seen a lot with Ichi as well to buff Orphe and then get more damage more quickly, but he also works well with other units that need a lot of energy. For example, the Pope. Dokko can give us 2, so that brings the requirement for these units down to only 2. Now we can use the Pope, we can use Commander Pandora, we can use Sea Dragon Cannon, or we simply don't bring any energy generation. We start off with 3 if we have Marsh Fairy, but in reality, by having Dokko in the team, it's like we start off with 5. Dokko's being played a lot with the cow as well, usually a slow unit that needs 2 energy there at the end of the turn to exercise someone. Dokko can provide that without issues. He can provide it for units that control, like Ayakos and the Divine Duck as well. In the future, there is going to be that combination with Bleed, and it's very possible that we see the return of a character that was meta for like 6 months, and he might be coming back when Shura Sapuri makes his appearance. All of these units combined with Bleed is going to be a lot of extra turns and a lot of automatic damage, which is very popular right now. Now, one thing I do have to mention is that he does not give energy to units that kind of eat it automatically. For example, Pisces, if he has energy available, he's going to shoot more roses, but he only does it if the energy is already present. Dokko will not generate that energy for him. The same thing happens for Divine Milo and for Evil Saga. It has to be an active skill that we select that needs the energy, and then Dokko grants it. We can include that as one of his weaknesses, and the other ones are going to be that at the moment he's pretty limited to support. The damage, even at level 4 and with the attack Cosmo that I have equipped, is completely horrendous. I think you do AoEs of like 10,000 damage, which is never going to kill anyone. You're much better off applying bleeds and then hoping that this kills it. Another weakness is going to be fast control. If he's controlled in any way, frozen, well, whatever, he can't activate his skills and there's nothing he can do about it. We also have cleansers like Arayashiki because he can cleanse this bleed, get a lot of buffs, get a lot of extra turns. What Arayashiki can't cleanse is the debuffs that we apply with the Sansetsuken and the Nunchakus on the AoE. Those cannot be purified, but I've heard it reported that they can be flipped. They can be reverted like Pandora does, and then she'll heal as well. I haven't confirmed this personally just because, well, Pandora is just not a unit that you see in Galactic Duel. I haven't run across one and I've forgotten to do the test myself. Lastly, we can mention a sort of, I guess, really specific counter. It would be Mew. We're not seeing him too much, but well, Mew can't be controlled, he can't be debuffed. He also hits really hard if the unit acquires a shield, so Dokko could really end up hurting himself. Not something that we're seeing too much of right now, but it is worth mentioning. Oh, also, wait, one of the combinations I forgot is with double turn. Remember that he can apply bleed with the basic, and this damage does start to add up really quickly. That double turn also gives us the ability to activate a lot of his weapons in one round, so keep that in mind. Now, unfortunately, Hashun we don't see too much because of the anti-healing from Orphe. Maybe he'll make a comeback in the future, maybe you just ban Orphe, I don't know, but whatever. The double turn mechanic is good and it is there. Now, lastly, his uses in the game are going to be as a buffer and energy generator at this moment. In the very near future, when Shura Sapuri comes out, if you skill him up as well, he's going to be a Tome Eater, then they're going to make a really good combination with bleed. A lot of damage, a lot of turns, and the possible return of regular Milo. But enough of the future. Now, today, the present, we're going to see a demonstration of a Galactic Duel fight I just recorded. I wasn't able to do it on stream because we've been summoning non-stop since Wednesday, but I got a really good one a few minutes ago in which we combine him with really his best partner right now. I don't think I've seen him used in other combinations. We're going to see him with Orphe because it's simply the maximum amount of damage you can get right now. Alright guys, so here we go, and straight away my bans, since this girl came out, my 2 bans have been Pandora Commander and Artemis. I don't ban any other 2 units, and I don't even check my opponent's teams before banning, because I don't want to be tempted to ban something. This guy has 4 units here. I don't want to be tempted to ban something else and not ban these 2, okay? They're perma-banned for me. On his end, he bans the Divine Cow, which is okay. I think we can play then with the best combination for Dokko right now, has to be Orphe. That damage buff is just so strong, so I'm going to put him in here. And the rest of my team can actually remain somewhat the same. I would play Cow, but he banned it. So with this we have, let me see, we got 6 energy. Wow, we have a lot of energy, actually. I don't think we need this much. Anything else that could help me? Maybe we play an exclamation. Maybe we play an Ichi. Nah, let's not play Ichi. Let's go with exclamation. Pretty aggressive. We got Radamantis, Thanatos, Orphe, and yeah, let's go with this. Enough thinking. Now, my carry for Marsh Fairy here is Xion. Okay, he goes with Athena. My Xion is going to move first. He has a Lune over there on the other side. Interesting. Lune for damage buff. Maybe on that Arayashiki? Now that Hashun is not being played so much, Arayashiki's kind of back in style. I am going to... Let me look at the turn order here. I am going to protect Thanatos because he's one of my main units, my main damage dealers. And I should probably hide someone. I am going to hide Orphe. Okay? I don't want him to be marked by the enemy Thanatos. If he marks my Xion, it's okay because I already moved. And I'm going to protect Thanatos. Here comes Lune with the buff. Maybe for Arayashiki, maybe for... Yes. Oh, so we're going to eat some Prafatas here, okay? These are going to hurt. Now, if he takes several turns, though, he's going to hurt as well. He hides Arayashiki, so I can mark him. Okay, but then that means... That means that there's a target exposed over there on the other side. Unfortunately, his Thanatos is faster than mine. This rank that I'm playing at, it's really difficult to record fights. Okay, but this is a team I would use in Galactic Duel, so it's a realistic team. Now, the problem is, Arayashiki's not going to have extra turns. He's really only going to have one, because there haven't been any debuffs yet. I am going to go ahead and mark Pisces. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mark Pisces. This shouldn't do much damage. No, there's a shield. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and mark Pisces for the future. There's one Prafata. Okay, there's the Reflect. He does have some stuff to cleanse. I'm not even sure who applied what. There's 2 turns. Here comes the explosion, and now he's really going to have stuff to cleanse. Here comes Thanatos' explosion. Very violent game right off the bat. And Arayashiki moves one more time. Oh my goodness gracious, everything dies on my end because of the Reflect as well. And this is looking pretty grim, guys. This is looking pretty grim. Radamantis dies from the burn. Okay, and this Pisces has a little bit of HP loss. And this is looking extremely tragic unless we get lucky. Okay, he does some on Xion, which is good. Look at that Pisces, though. Look at the damage on that Pisces from the Serenade with Dokko's buff. The problem is, we still have to kill this enemy Xion somehow. I have to protect. Who do I protect, dude? Do I protect Thanatos? No, I'm gonna protect Orphe. Thanatos can take care of himself. I'm gonna use Thanatos' strong attack to take care of this Pisces. I think it's my only option. If I let this Pisces move, I'm dead. This Pisces 100% cannot move. Can we kill all this? I don't think so. Though, my Orphe is gonna hurt like a mother. My Orphe is going to hurt like a mother. 2 Serenades and Dokko's buff. Alright, remember that's 50% extra cosmic attack and 20% cosmic damage. Doesn't quite kill him because of the shield. I think if it wasn't for the shield, he would have died. My Thanatos is going to explode, probably taking out... Oh, he might take out Pisces with the explosion here. That would be pretty progress. Unless he can finish me off between Lune and his Thanatos. That could happen as well. Come on, brother. What you gonna do when they come for you? He goes with the basic. Thanatos explodes. He does take care of Lune. He takes care of Pisces as well. Xion is going with the protection, obviously, and I protected Orphe because of the Reflect damage. I was expecting this. Now, my Thanatos is going to be able to finish this guy off, and I cannot mark Arayashiki. If I mark Arayashiki, my Thanatos dies. He has 6 energy, so he could go for a strong... There it is. Strong attack, and he explodes, and he's going to kill my Thanatos. No, it doesn't. Oh, Thanatos is almost dead. I'm going to use my Thanatos, actually, to break the shield here, though I die. But that leaves my Orphe free to wreck the heck out of this Arayashiki. Come on, let's go. GG. There's the buff. I don't even know how much damage we did. I should have probably looked at the damage. I'm not even sure how much we did, but I'm pretty sure the amount was ridiculous. Alright, so we just have to take care of this Xion Ghost. Here, she can execute my my Dokko, but I don't think we should die, hopefully. No, we should be okay. My Orphe should be able to finish this. I'm gonna touch this guy. Pew, pew, pew. My Ghost expires. If this guy kills me with a Daffodil or something, I'm gonna be really upset. No, 55k. Now, we can't lifesteal, but is that the last... Can you please die, Xion? Oh my god, GG, bro. I hate Xion Ghost. GG alone. That was a very good demonstration of Dokko's buff on Orphe, which is really his main use right now. And that's gonna be it for today, guys. I hope the review is useful. If you're planning on summoning him, on building him, now you can kind of get an idea of where to go. It also helps you plan for the future because we know Shura Sapuri is coming and that they're gonna be really strong together. If you're still summoning for him, then best of luck. You still have time to get him, level him up, and take advantage of the training event. I'm gonna say goodbye for today. If you haven't already, please remember to hit like, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you don't miss any videos, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye!